In almost every 2000s movie, or even earlier, you'll always see the most popular girl depicted to be the girliest, feminine in appearance, upkept, trend-setting, most stylish, and most of all, confident. To the normal eye, one would think these are wonderful qualities a girl should have or desire to have. That may all be true until you get to know these hyper-feminized characters a little deeper. You see, you will soon realize there is no deep, and everything about them is merely surface level, painting vanity with horrible and evil connotations. Your instant admiration and natural draw to them will come to a crashing halt as you hear the tone of their voice towards their disciples, friends, or even family, or how they all stereotypically treat the waiter at a restaurant, or their reputation for their lack of faithfulness in their personal relationships, platonic or romantic. These types of qualities and traits are the same you describe a bully or a narcissist. And this is the very pinnacle moment young girls overlook this hyper feminine image and attach horrible memories through hurtful, unrealistic, and unachievable experiences and begin the ever so toxic cycle into adulthood of self loathing and deprecation, secretly obsessing while simultaneously wanting to be them or at least gain some sort of validation within their proximity. This kind of energy is the opposite of true feminine energy, as its entire philosophy revolves around putting other women down and diminishing the etiquette of being a woman and the power that lies within it. Of course, society is smart enough to realize this and wouldn't dare let this secret out. And so here we are, exactly what society has programmed us girls at an early age on how to treat, behave, and act around other women. Spoiler alert, no, it does not work in our favor, but at all.
Some people are simply better than others.
Salam and welcome to my channel. I'm so glad you can make it here. You're so lucky. Please tread lightly with an open mind and ears so you can understand the issue rather than forming a bias that will only stunt your intellectual growth. Also, the society I am primarily referring to is Western/modern society, as I understand the entire world isn't a carbon copy of the other. So, without any further ado, let's continue. Bismillah.
Entree!
Good evening, Miss Evans. 2 minutes till places.
Oh, good. Can you tell Troy to come up here?
Hasn't anybody told you that Troy...
Go!
A woman's femininity in the eyes of society is often perceived as something to be graded on or judged on or compared to or critiqued. The amount of or the lack of it. This judgment, globally might I add, initially started purposefully at an early age since we're easily adaptable and malleable, with the sole purpose of wanting to control women and keep them little and shy away from their feminine potential, and a little further than that, to rebuke it inwardly as well. To have them convinced to shift gears from what's truly natural and right and to start living and acting, breathing the opposite of how nature and her intuition intended her to be. Keyword here is be. Hold on to that. To which then, to no one's surprise, naturally led us to complain about receiving unnatural results and then strangely wondering why men act a certain way and acting bewildered when relationships miserably fail. It's because of what society, media, and the public's opinion project and dictate about what makes a woman worthy, valuable, or most of all, what their depiction of femininity is. And all of these things women must blindly follow, and the ones who don't are social outcasts and, in a subtle way, shunned from society. So you tell me, who should dictate your life and identity? You, or anyone who isn't you? Society has throughout the years tried its level best to not let the woman find out about her greatest power, which quite literally makes the world go round. After all, it was the woman whom Allah chose to bring life on earth. I mean, of all the jillion and one things a man can do, this one's appointed to the woman. And I really don't think this is something that should be taken lightly nor disregarded as such as it is nowadays. A woman choosing her husband and wanting to create a family is heavily abhorred, and what's shocking is that this heavily flawed ideology is slowly making its way into the Eastern society, aka back home, or the Islamic society. The shock factor here is present because of the fact that Islamically this all sounds like make-believe and highly illogical, and also progressing backwards. And by the way these new expectations of women are now, we are slowly seeing the burnout and the slow crash of the boss babe or the alpha female because of the hit it's taking to their femininity and their feminine life, and to the illusion of power they were promised. The value of a woman, but even more so of her femininity, is one of the strongest energies in the universe, and society does coyly internally recognize this. You'll see everyday examples of this as to why certain ignorant, backwards thinking people may strongly feel a type of way regarding how a woman dresses, acts, or simply chooses to live her life. Married or unmarried, might I even say distraught at the life choices from a woman they've never met nor have the capability to. This type of feeling threatened is simply by the energy or aura the female possesses alone. You see, a woman having standards for herself and setting boundaries and saying no whenever she intuitively feels necessary is like a walking horror film that has no predictable ending. To people like this, I mean. I once read somewhere that the people who have an issue with your standards benefited from you not having any at all. And this couldn't possibly be more true. Why else are some people so rattled with a woman being content with herself and simply just living her life, and wearing her outfits according to her style and not in magazines or trends, or daring to grow a backbone and stand up for herself and her values that make her her, and not going back because she firmly stands in what she believes in? The answer is quite simple. As she exceeds society and becomes unimpressionable and impossible to control. One glimmer of satisfaction lights a chain reaction to go far down the rabbit hole of self-discovery, which through persistence, she's released herself from the ever-changing expectations and confinement of labels society projects onto her. And she now isn't to be simply an object of their expectations and to abide by them blindly without ever asking why. I'm sorry, but no. Whether east or west, this is the real oppression. Only are you, as a feminine woman, capable of breaking free from norms and age-old traditions from back in the when, through valuing your own true opinion of yourself and trusting your feminine intuition and honoring it as a part of you, seeking approval from God Almighty and not the opinions of others, by refusing to complete the checklists of others to follow and live by. The feminine woman is the woman who woke up from Sleeping Beauty's curse one day earlier than the rest and figured out that the only ones that ever benefited from her conforming her entire being only damaged her in the long run. And like all things, there's a cause and effect. Society dictates how a woman should or shouldn't be covered, or dressing modestly per se. No, that would make her unattractive and she will look like an old hag. However, if a woman is scantily clad, it's still way worse because then they'd have all these nasty things to say about her character. A feminine woman understands the extremities of both sides and chooses what's right for her image and beneficial for her body and whom she grants access to viewing. Now on the flip side, a happily emotional, pleasing woman is what is subtly yet fundamentally ruining society because it's allowing young boys to grow up as entitled men, expecting everything from women, and reinforcing their little magic box of disappearing potential. This cycle, believe it or not, to our horror of horrors, began by a woman conforming and people-pleasing and seeking validation through other people and allowing the way people treat her or expect from her to determine her value. It's completely backwards and totally twisted. Instead of trusting your feminine intuition and relying on God and realizing what He intended your value to be, who is the ultimate well-wisher for you in the end, even after all those broken promises from people. And so, for the longest time, this disastrous cycle has been repeating itself, and that explains why you'll see some beautiful women settling for way less than what they deserve, and feeling obliged to please the thing that's completely unworthy of them. But, unfortunately, some through peer pressure, societal expectations, and some through media or movies, that woman is brainwashed to feeling proud of treatment that doesn't even qualify as a bare minimum. And this is why society thrives off of women not having any standards whatsoever, and merely just accepting what they can get. It lets everyone at fault off easy, and you've got a perfect scapegoat. Because they're set to believe from the jump women shouldn't be worthy of defining her own worth and finding her value within themselves rather than society's. And I believe this to be a grave sin for the female kind. Now, how you can snap out of this age-old curse put upon women is simply by waking up and acknowledging all the ways society and people have been and are, how they're impacting your life, and how they're keeping you from your feminine potential. Do this by getting to know yourself first. Date yourself, if I must say so myself. This is doubly effective when you're single because all this golden time can be put into getting to know you. You can make fabulous moments out of it. For example, ask yourself, what do you love the most in this world? What is something that can immediately bring a smile to your face? If you received a random bonus of $1,000, what would you splurge on? What is your absolute favorite hobby? And it doesn't need to require money, just time and practice. Perfect the things that you're already good at. If you cannot think of one, then simply take a trip down memory lane to when you were 8 or 9. What was something that you were absolutely obsessed with doing or learning about, or perhaps even creating? Plan your most perfect day. If you were to have a total of 24 hours without any interruptions whatsoever, what would you do and why? Being able to answer these questions honestly with yourself will forge a little mind map into forming your own identity and realizing who you are without seeking the approval or judgment of others. Learning to be in your feminine energy and connecting with your inner self and listening to what your psyche is trying to tell you, you are able to create your own inner rubric for happiness and validation of your own self. Suddenly and slowly, you get to form your own opinions and realize that it's okay that you can. You'll clearly start to see people who wear Uggs, God forbid Crocs, aren't in fact cool or trendy. Suddenly, learning about plants instead of falling for societal or peer pressure will feel silly and will lose all its power over you. Or even, perhaps gardening on a Sunday afternoon will be considered peaceful and enriching instead of staying out late with toxic friends and completely missing out on yourself in the process. What's worse is that you're not even really enjoying it because you're just along for the ride because you feel that's what's expected of you or is deemed cool for your age. Once you start to spend time getting to know yourself and your triggers or your fears, likes and dislikes, you'll begin to flourish in your feminine energy and live freely, feeling completely independent of your life. And as a result, this inner joy and positivity that radiates around you will seamlessly impact the lives around you as well. Coincidentally, you will outgrow toxic friends and they will easily flee from you, but you will also start to attract like-minded, healthy people into your life that will enrich and enhance you instead of draining and robbing you of your energy. Your femininity is not limited to your appearance and only looking a certain way, but rather the aura you carry from within. This aura is what radiates onto the way you look, and the way you look is already authentically feminine simply because you were created female. Society tries its absolute hardest to diffuse this God-given notion and make women believe they need to go through extreme lengths to look or to be perceived as feminine, and even more so if they want to attract a mate. To quote Islamic history, the Prophet ﷺ was 25 years of age when he was wedded to his first wife, Khadija radiallahu anha, who was 45 years old at the time and previously married before with children. Islam absolutely detests these societal standards and stereotypes on people, men or women, and the existence of the isms, and rightfully so rebukes and demolishes this very flawed way of thinking of these mere mortal humans that foisted it onto society all willy-nilly one day. We get to decide what qualifies as feminine simply by what feels authentic to us from within. This is what true femininity is. Being authentic to yourself and honoring that truth. No extra outward fluff, even if it's pink. The outside can always be beautified, and quite frankly, it's the most fun part of all. The feminine aesthetics and the diversity of them all, which is also something I love to delve further here onto my channel. But a healthy femininity is the atmosphere within, and therefore what reflects outward. It's like doing your skincare with all the right products and in the correct steps. It would be totally useless if you were drinking soda and eating greasy carb foods and sleeping for like an hour. This metaphor perfectly exemplifies the parallels of how a mean girl would act in those movies. Yet because of her meanness, she wouldn't at all be considered a feminine woman, just like a really pretty Monet. If you know, you know. And that, my lovelies, completes this video. I really hope you felt more confident and proud of your female self, and I hope you'll appreciate yourself more and the woman around you much more now. Comment below what's one feminine trait or habit you'd like to start implementing on or start doing. Anyway, this has been nice, and I thank you for watching till the end. Till then, peace and blessings, and toodles for now. Assalamu alaikum.